In Chapter 9, we are going to discuss verbal and nonverbal communication. The definition of a dialogue is the conversation through which people sculpt or negotiate meanings that they can share. It is important to know that with dialogue, it is dependent on that negotiated meaning. It is important to understand cultural differences in communication. There are both high context cultures and low context cultures. In high context cultures, understanding of one another occurs through nonverbal cues and interpersonal empathy. An example of this would be Asian cultures. Members value maintaining group harmony and saving face, so their communication is often subtle and indirect. With low context cultures, you should think about the United States. There is less motivation to sacrifice their individual wants for the group. They may be objective, open, and direct, but a little low on the empathy quotient. There are also gender differences in communication. Men use more report talk and women use more rapport talk. Report talk is a means to preserve independence and negotiate and maintain status in a hierarchical social order. It's also known as an agency style, which are agents of problem solving and decision making. This tends to be more linked to those task processes that we discussed earlier in the class, and those were processes that were concerned with the job at hand. Women use more rapport talk. This is a way to establish connections and negotiate relationships. It is a community style. It nurtures and facilitates cooperation and community. This would be related to the transactional processes that we discussed earlier in the class, where people are more concerned with relationships. We are now going to discuss different communication styles. The first style I want to discuss is facilitative or equal style. These focus on those transactional processes that help to express ideas in a supportive climate. Again, this is concerned with relationships. A commanding or authoritative style moves task processes forward and focuses on ensuring that the job gets done. Passive-aggressive style is non-participative, and it uses control and strategy to block those transactional and task processes. So if you want to think about somebody you know who behaved in a passive-aggressive style, think of how they behaved and what you observed with what they were trying to do. This says they're trying to get in the way of relationships and completing the job. A hostile or divisive style is counterproductive, concerned primarily with an individual's objectiveness and defenses, and may even be aggressive. When discussing communication, it's also important to distinguish between assertiveness and aggressiveness. When someone is assertive, they are self-disclosing and influencing others. There's a high concern for the rights of others, and it's often an open climate. These people are often direct, but they may be gentle and considerate of others' feelings. Aggressiveness, on the other hand, is a me-first attitude and a trying to control others. They demonstrate a low regard for others' interests and feelings. It often creates a hostile climate. Our final slide for Chapter 9 talks about nonverbal communication. This occurs when people interpret meaning from cues that accompany language or that are separate from language. It outnumbers verbal cues. That is the key. More of our communication occurs non-verbally than verbally. It will tell you more than just listening to what people say. Remember, it may confirm or contradict a verbal message, and sometimes it's not easy to decode. Please let me know if you have any questions about Chapter 9.